Hello, and welcome to my base tour of my second attempt of mechanical mastery. My first attempt, I kind of gave up after reaching the planetary logistics stage, which actually is, I think, kind of rare. The problem was the way I was building did not leave any room for expansion or the ability to wire AE2 into it. I had tried to keep that in mind, and unfortunately, I failed to do it properly. And when I unlocked A2, I realized wiring stuff up was going to be a complete and total rebuild of tear everything out and rebuild it back up, and I kind of gave up. Part of the problem also was when I needed to expand, it was very difficult for me to do so because the building blocks I chose were kind of expensive and took a long time to produce, and I had a lot of different types. This style is much more simplistic. It's concrete and deep slate. These are both deep slate. Love rechiseled. Thank you so much. Um, so this time well, as I walk through, I'll kind of give you a timeline of how I did stuff, I think. This is the center room where I have the controller. One thing to note is I have turned off Planar Logistics 2 channels. One thing that was keeping me away from using AE2 was the channels, and I was using RS, which, while much more simplistic, suffers in terms of, I think, performance issues and capability in some aspects. I think namely with like auto crafting specifically and like filtering and the ability to like push items in places. Refined storage kind of lacks in those areas. It's still good, but I decided I wanna get back into A2. So I decided to turn channels off for my own enjoyment. This is the red area. This is the first side of this base I built. Right here is this horrible clusterfuck area. This is like a lot of handcrafting area, things where I just, something has to happen in over the background and I just need somewhere to throw it. This area has where I create, quartz, milling. I have a rolling thing over there. This is where I make concrete for building. These are just random here. Eventually I'll put a spot for them. My battery for my power system, my pad for farming flowers, and my solar panel here, and latex for industrial foregoing. Also mechanical crafter over there. Across the way is, now I'm going to get into a little bit of what Mechanical Mastery is. Mechanical Mastery is a skyblock pack, specifically one that focuses on not ex nihilo or anything like that, but rather through EMC. You EMC raw resources, things like ores, and then you process those ores, and then you turn them into components, and you craft these components into these mechanical essences. And these you then convert these mechanical essence to crystals, and these crystals are worth more EMC than it costs to produce them in raw resources. So this is how you get EMC. There are multiple tiers of mechanical essences. Um, there is up to blue, yellow, purple, and in order to actually unlock a planetary logistics tier, you need tier 3. So originally I was just batch crafting crap all by hand all the way up to a planetary logistics tier because I realized what I failed to do in the first attempt was that trying to wire AE2 into a base that had already been built was not good for how I was doing stuff. And it kind of, like I said, it kind of was the death of that run. So instead, I batch crafted all the way up to A2, did no automation except for like, bare bones, throw ore here, get ingots out there, things like that. So now I'm actually, anyway, this is just the area that produces the basic one. It's kind of bad, and I can definitely have the infrastructure and resource and the ability to set up, the next tier of blue really easily. It's just steel, invar, bronze, and a mixer, and I have motors. I can make motors and stuff. So it could be done. I've just been focusing on other infrastructure right now, which I'll get into in a little bit. The last area of the red area is, you can hear it already puffing away, is my create engine. This produces, I can use alternators from Create Crafts and Additions, I believe, yeah, to turn this max level boiler into up to 6,480 RF per tick. For reference, the Immersive Engineering diesel generator produces 4,096, so this produces another 2,000 on top of it. And it is fueled by biofuel from industrial foregoing. I take white dye, grind it up in the millstone for 3 bone meal, a chance at 3 more, and a chance at white dye. Convert the bone meal to 2 white dye in an enriching factory. White dye in a bioreactor converts to 80 millibuckets of biofuel. And 1,000 millibuckets, one full bucket of biofuel, will keep one of these things superheated for 20 minutes. And I had 9 of these things running. Originally, I thought 1 would be enough, but I just turned it to 3, and that's more than enough. I could honestly probably run another one of these things off that biofuel setup. It's extremely fuel efficient. It's very cheap. Legitimately just bones. In this pack, it's basically free because of how EMC works. If you were to do this in I think a more conventional pack without EMC, or you were in a pack where you didn't want to use EMC to do it, it might be you might be less efficient in terms of power cost, because I'm running enriching chambers and then a motor, so it's like 90 FE a tick this way without any efficiency upgrades, and each one of these operations is 400 FE total. Not a tick, it's 400 FE per operation. So it's very cheap to maintain. It's basically free power. And at this stage in the game, like, yeah, this won't scale as well as the reactor from Biofuel or the mechanism reactor that's required for progression in this pack. So these will eventually fall off in terms of in terms of like practicality, but it was super cool, and I'm at the area of the game when it's still like, great for what I can do, especially with how cheap it is. Now we're gonna go into the blue area, which blue cable, blue terracotta, which is also I guess part of the palette. I didn't mention that. Anyway, also cheap. It's clay and lapis. Right here is the passive area where I use EMC to produce a lot of passive resources that aren't needed for the essences over there, but are needed just in general. Wood, clay, hemp for string, reeds for sugar and paper, things like that. Each one of these things can hold up to 8 different items. This one I haven't figured out what I want to fill the last 2 slots with. Right here, let me just take a sip of my tea. Right here, it produces 82 circuits. Logic and calculations are produced by the stack, and engineering ones are produced in sets of 8. I love 82 things. The advanced inscribers are so nice. They're regular inscribers, but they can take a stack at a time, and when they're plugged into the applied energistics system, they automatically input their resources, their crafted components, back into the system, and it counts for auto crafting. Counts as being received. So, very easy. Regular, just molecular assembler stuff for on-demand crafting things. This is a passive crafter. Takes in some resources from over there. Again, like I was talking about, sugar, paper, planks. Chests, they're annoying to craft with all the different, re-chiseled and chipped different types. They're all technically forged types, but they're not crafted in the crafting table, so it's just kind of annoying to shift-click stuff, so I just keep chests around. It's easy that way. String, clay blocks, terracotta, and sticks. Again, for the same reason as trying to craft with planks is annoying. Okay, and then across the hall, we have, this is just where the crafting processors go. I laid out room for 5 big processors. Right now I only have 2 smaller ones. I just don't need larger ones at the moment. I imagine that later in the pack I might need very large nested crafts. I don't know. There's probably a lot of things are probably going to get passived in the end, but I left room for expansion because why not, right? I'm not doing anything with that room anyway. This is the last room over here, and this is what I've been working on, and this is on-demand machine stuff crafting, crushing, to gravel, to sand, smelting for glass, enriching, and then infusing. All this stuff is on demand. A lot of pretty much everything that's going to be done here will probably be passived at one point or another, but right now I want to focus on on-demand stuff. That's good. Okay. It just gives you a lot of flexibility instead of having to set up, a bajillion crushers and, all the storage things for that. I can just do it this way, and it makes it so eventually I can get around to passiving things once I have the time and the resources to do so. That's pretty much the full base. I've gone over everything, I believe. One thing I do want to note is all of these rooms are the exact same size. They're all effectively tileable almost, where I can just kind of, extend this hallway out forever and just build these rooms out forever. They're all the same size. Everything fits in there. Once I start getting into the mechanism, like the massive multi-blocks from mechanism or whatever, I'll probably, or I almost certainly will build custom rooms for those, and I don't know where I'm gonna put those. Maybe that's what these hallways will be used for. I'll, build bigger rooms for bigger reactors, things, or whatever, or whatnot. I don't know. Um, yeah, that's pretty much the base. I do want to ramble a little bit, so if you're just here for the base, feel free to leave, I guess. Um, I have become a much better builder since in recent days, or in recent time. Mostly because I want to give a shout out. I doubt he'll ever actually watch this, but he does. Threefold. Thank you for inspiring me to play modded Minecraft better, I think. Before I always used to build like single long machine rooms where they're underground and all your machines are in a line or whatever, and my bases were okay, but they weren't really built for automation in mind, I think. Um, like for example, I found your video of like how to complete a mod pack, and then I watched your ATM 7 TTS run, and then actually reinvigorated my own. I got to the point where I'd automated raw resources, didn't know what to do, and stopped playing. And then I watched you play and went, hey, I've got lots of stuff. I can build cool things. So I went and built a whole new base. And I played that base for a while. It was definitely one of the largest things I've built. Um, I really enjoyed that base a lot. Eventually, I just kind of, I think I kind of went too far over the edge though, where I had too much form over functionality, and I kind of gave up. I used a lot of XNet stuff. XNet's really powerful, but I feel like it does suffer, especially in terms of mass throughput. Anyway, again, I guess thank you three for inspiring me to play modded Minecraft uh, in a way that I find far more enjoyable for myself. I had a hard time. I think like I'd automate resources and get to a point where it's kind of like well, what do I do now? And now learning to build while automating stuff gives me a lot, a path to continue beyond raw resource production. It's like, oh, I want to build more of the base or whatever. I want to do more things. I think in this pack, for the first time, I'm going to try and complete it with the creative vending upgrade. Or just try, there's a quest book here. I kind of want to complete the quest book. I've never done that in a pack before. I just play until I'm kind of like, tapped out for stuff to do and then kind of give up. But in this pack, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to try and do a creative vending upgrade. Um, yeah, so I've been rambling again. I rambled off my ramble. Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, three. I'm glad you're back, and I will watch your stuff for as long as you post, and make sure to post at your own rate, and don't worry about, anybody else. Do what you gotta do. We're all here. If you're enjoying it, we're enjoying it. That's all I gotta say. Okay, that's it.